I never met a youth leader that I didn't like, but I kind of got to wonder why we have youth leaders. When we say that our youth are our upcoming next generation of leaders, and yet we relegate them to some subset, right, of believers within the church. Or maybe pastors have this kind of a fear that we're not able to attract a youth, that the youth are looking for somebody that plays games with them and, feeds them pizza and maybe tries to dress like them. Somebody youthful. I think we've possibly made a big mistake by separating the youth out of everything else. Youth is only a really short span or part of a life, of a believer, and particularly in the life of a leader. Maybe 12 to 19 years old at the most. I wonder if as pastors and leaders sometimes we're afraid that the return on investment, spending time with youth, isn't what we're going to want it to be. They're probably going to go away to college, they're going to go get a job, whatever, they're going to move, get married, go to another church. The thing is that if we don't invest in them, then how do we get any kind of a return? Now, one thing we need to understand about youth is they're no different than adults. So you think back to when you and I were young. Do you remember when you were young? Your goal and aspiration wasn't to be a better youth. Now, I know there was lots of pressure to fit in and to be cool and all that kind of stuff. But that was short-lived. When you think about it, what is it that a young man or woman would be thinking about and dreaming about when they lay their head on the pillow at night, when nobody else is around? We want to be somebody who can change the world. There's dreams and visions in the hearts of our youth that are looking for somebody who can draw that out. But the truth is they're looking for fathers. They really are. So my point is that if we want to raise the next generation of leaders, we need to have the apostolic leaders build the engagement with, everybody. It's about growing your own leadership. In Thailand, we say that Bible college is your fishing pond, where we invite other missionaries, ministers, whatever, leaders, to come and teach and build relationship with our students, cast vision, and look for people who could be potential leaders and part of their teams and so on. And that's how we mobilize the third part of our Reach, Teach, Mobilize vision, right? That's what we're here for. That's what we're supposed to do. Let me explain it this way. I have never been invited to teach or even visit the Bible College in Canada, the Victory Bible College. And the reason is that the leadership was afraid Al would invite all of your people to go to Thailand. Well, that's not true. I don't invite everybody. In fact, it's not the invite that makes a difference. Here's what really happens.
When I met Pastor Alan Terry, Purvis, way back in the day, maybe even in the 90s, the late 90s, I met them in Canada, and it was so clear in their hearts. They were able to articulate the vision of what God had for them here in Asia, that I could really see my destiny as part of this Victory Asia platform. So I came out because they were able to really clearly articulate what it was all about.
The leadership of Pastor Alan Terry is just so good, so loving and mentoring and desiring what's best for you. And so I think it brought out of us things and gifts and talents that we didn't even know we had, and called us to step up to another level. So in the end, it launched us to church plant in the north and has been one of the biggest blessings in our lives. And we connected with a whole new thing and community and group of people that we love now and are like our family. So this place is home to us. This is family. This is what our son knows as family. It's what we call family. And we just love Victory Asia.
So you got to flip that idea that there's a limited number of youth and you got to keep yours. Because the truth is you're not keeping them anyway. You cannot keep people in your church, in your ministry, in your vision by manipulation, by enticement. You can only do it by casting vision where they can see destiny for themselves. And so young people are looking for someone that they can see their future, their destiny, a vision in their lives. Well, then it seems like we're competing with other pastors, other leaders, other teachers for the hearts of our youth. Yeah, you are. And here's the deal. We need to pull our own bootstraps up and become the leader that casts the vision that engages our young people, that they just cannot let go of, something that captures their hearts and won't let go of them. And it's absolutely true. People that spend time around me want to get involved with what we're doing. Not all of them, but many of them do, because they see vision and destiny. So young people don't come to Thailand just because we ride elephants. It's because they see destiny. They see something that they haven't seen before. I found pastors in Canada that were hesitant oftentimes to send their young people to the Bible college in Canada or in Thailand or anywhere because they're afraid they wouldn't come back. Well, they probably won't because they'll find a leader that is casting a more clear vision, a more destiny-designed vision than you have cast to them. So it brings us to the biggest problem, that some of us have such a small vision that we don't have room for anybody else. If I don't have a vision to plant more churches, to open more nations, send more missions teams, to do whatever it is that the mandate on you and your church is, if you don't have a vision and a plan to do more of that, then there's no place for you to attract new leaders. If I don't have a vision and see where that's going to take our young people to, they're not going to stick around. People respond to vision. It doesn't matter if they're 12 years old or 40 years old. They need to hear vision and destiny. You could be the greatest teacher, an awesome leader. You can even be a very loving father. But if they don't see a place to go through what you're saying and what they're hearing you say, what they're hearing from your heart, then they're going to go somewhere else. And I know that's true because young people that come on 7 weeks in Asia from, Canada mostly, well, they come from some of our best churches, our best pastors, our best leaders, and yet maybe not even sure of their own salvation. Wow. And you're like, how does that happen? It's a lack of engagement. There's been so much going on. The activities have all been there. But the actual getting into the heart, the mentorship, and this is why Jesus took his guys with him in the ministry. Mentoring is the way it works. There's a story that Dr. George Hill tells many times about planting the churches in Calgary and how during that time he raised up 22 full-time leaders and pastors while he was planting churches by mentoring people in the ministry. Where at the same time, the Bible college just across town, maybe there was 2 or 3 leaders came out of there, and they were probably leaders before they went in. The point being that you can't institutionalize mentorship. Real leaders are raised up in mentorship ministry, in a real ministry, just like Jesus did. You've got to be hands-on in the ministry with the young people. If you're willing to mentor like Jesus mentored, you'll get the results that Jesus got. I'm going to get out here to the end of the pier, fishing pier early in the morning. Smells like heaven if you're a fisherman. And then we're going to take a look at Isaiah chapter 54. I love the way that the Word of God brings our thinking and our dreaming into alignment for the future. Okay, Isaiah chapter 54, following the prophetic word about Jesus bearing the sins of many and becoming an intercessor for the transgressors. Then he says, "Sing, O barren, you have not borne, break forth into singing and crying aloud." And he makes an analogy here with like a woman who has not given birth to her own children. "You've not labored with child, for more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married woman, says the Lord." And so you're not limited, he's saying, and he's casting vision here for youth. More are the children of the desolate than that of the married woman. In other words, there's an unlimited number of children that are in our future. So enlarge the place of your tent and let them stretch out the curtains of your dwellings. I'd like to ask, who's them? And as we read on, we'll discover that, well, that's the children, the ones that you've adopted. "Let them stretch out the curtains of your dwelling. Do not spare. Lengthen your cords. Strengthen your stakes. For you shall expand to the right and to the left. And your descendants will inherit the nations." The descendants of the person who doesn't have any kids are going to inherit the nations. And that's where we stand with our family. We've had this vision ever since the beginning that our children that we adopt, bring in, they become our kids. We build that father-son relationship with them. They will inherit the nations. And it says they'll make desolate cities inhabited. And then in the next verse, it says, "Do not fear, for you will not be ashamed or disgraced, or you'll not be put to shame." And then it says, "For you will forget the shame of your youth." Isn't that interesting? The shame of your youth. Now, there's nothing shameful about being a youth. But what he's talking about is you'll forget probably the most clumsy part of our whole lives. The frustration of my life is like, I feel like I can't do anything. I feel like, You know, all the big people can do stuff, and everything I try to do doesn't work the same. And, you know, there was no significance in your life. And so all of this push for acceptance and goofy stuff that youth do, I mean, they do really goofy stuff. A lot of that has to do with this avoiding this. It's not shame like being ashamed so much, but it's shame like I look like a big person, but I'm not one. I don't think like one, I don't act like one, and I want to. So you've got these youth that want to be adults, and we separate them out and keep them as youth, keep them away from the adults. And you got to kind of ask, like, why have we done that? Why do we do that? Some pastors are just plain old afraid of youth. Like, we're comfortable around our cronies. Some guys feel that youth aren't serious enough. Other guys feel like they just don't want to be bothered. They just don't see the potential that's there. Maybe it seems like it'll take too long to grow them into leaders that can actually be helpful to the ministry. Or maybe he just doesn't need any more leaders for the size of his teeny-weeny vision.